Hello everyone and welcome to my presentation. My name is Yara and today I will be analyzing the 1524 map of the Tenochtitlan that accompanied Hernan Cortes' second letter to Charles V. This map is one of the earliest European visual representations of the Aztec capital created just a few years after the Spanish conquest, and it serves as both a geographical record and a political document. Throughout this presentation, I'm going to discuss what the map shows, what it hides, and how it has shaped the historical understanding of indigenous architecture and society in Mesoamerica. To help set the stage, it is important to understand that the Tenochtitlan was the capital of the Mexica or the Aztec Empire, an urban center built on an island in Lake Texcoco with an estimated population between 200,000 and 300,000 at its peak. The Aztecs engineered advanced causeways, systems, canals, temples, and marketplaces that impressed even the Spanish people. The 1524 map translates this complex city into European cartographic framework, but because it was created for a Spanish audience, it doesn't simply describe the city, it frames the Aztec world through Cortes' political agenda. My main argument is that this map deliberately reshapes indigenous space into a narrative that supports Spanish imperial control, visually minimizing indigenous cultural sophistication while elevating Spanish authority. Now I'll begin with the basic history of the artifact. The map was printed in Nuremberg in Germany in 1524 by the publisher Frederick and accompanied the Latin edition of Cortes' second letter. It illustrates the city's streets, causeways, canals, central temple, and surrounding lake system. As a physical object, it functioned as both an illustration and a tool of procession, showing the emperor and European readers what the New World looked like from a Spanish point of view. It was a map that was printed on It was a map that printed on a woodcut. It was a map on a 30 by 47 centimeters woodcut. Here is a picture of Cortes' letter to Charles V. Who, where, and why? The map was not drawn by Cortes himself, but produced under his direction, and the artist likely relied on Spanish descriptions rather than on-site indigenous cartographic traditions. The purpose was political, to legitimize Spanish conquest by portraying Tenochtitlan as a place that was impressive but ultimately conquerable. This context directly supports my argument that the map functions as a tool of imperial framing. When we look deeper, there is much the map does not reveal. Cortes' letters omitted the scale of destruction and the violence carried out during the conquest. The map reinforces the silence by presenting Tenochtitlan as an orderly, almost idealized city without showing the devastation caused by war, diseases, or Spanish military actions. This created a bias. Indigenous architecture appears static and aesthetic rather than dynamic and culturally meaningful. The map isolates the Templo Mayor visually, but detaches it from its sacred and cosmological importance, as it is central to Aztec ritual life. Much of the destruction of temples, homes, archives is not shown at all, nor is the forced labor used in rebuilding the city as Mexico City. By omitting these realities, the map participates in a larger colonial strategy to erase indigenous agency and to recast the land as available for European control. This bias reinforces the argument that the map does not simply document space, it reshapes indigenous urbanism into a narrative that validates empire. So, what does all of this mean? My interpretation is that the 1524 map is not just a geographic representation, it is an instrument of colonial narrative making by visually simplifying indigenous architecture, minimizing the violence of conquest, and reshaping the city through European aesthetics. The map helps justify Spanish authority over Tenochtitlan. In conclusion, the 1524 Nuremberg map of Tenochtitlan allows us to see how early colonial documents shaped European understanding of the Americas, while it provides valuable information about the layout of the Aztec capital. It also reveals significant distortions, especially in its omission of violence, destruction, and indigenous cultural meaning. By analyzing this map through both European and indigenous sources, we can better understand how architecture, cartography, and political power intersected in the early colonial period. Ultimately, the map isn't just an illustration, it is a deliberate tool used to frame the Aztec world in a way that supported Spanish imperial ambitions. And thank you.